I've taken 2,000, 2,500 plus consultations with business owners, and if there's one thing that I hear in common among all of them, combination of these, they're either going to events, trying to do cold outreach, cold email, or they have been doing it for what it feels like generations to them, relying on word of mouth and referrals. And it's surprising to me, not only because of the depth and the amount of people that are dealing with that, but also because of how common practice it is. I don't believe that hope is a business strategy. And so in today's video, I'm going to be breaking down all the reasons why cold outreach is dwindling, why you may have experienced drop-offs in cold email conversion, cold calling conversion. To be frank, I mean, events are always going to work, right? But who really has the time to do 40 of them? I think maybe early on in your career, you have the time to do it. But in terms of building leverage and building a sustainable business, it's not good common practice to just solely rely on that. And so, the core business function of getting customers, there must be a reliable way to get them. Or you don't really have a business, you just have an expensive job. So I've written various articles about this, and I'm going to highlight 3 key points in this video on number 1, why they are declining. Number 2 is the opportunity vehicle, what you can do instead. Number 3, some trade-offs, some pros and some cons around it, because it's not like every method has its kind of magic pill. It's not a magic pill. Suffice to say, cold outreach still does work, right? It just works less efficiently as it used to, okay? So that's what you'll learn in the video. Just keep in mind throughout that I do have experience building cold outbound systems, cold email systems, doing a lot of cold calling myself. A lot of those direct traditional sales and marketing methods I've tried. And it only dawned upon me when I started to read Dan Kennedy and I started to listen to Frank Kern, trying to do paid advertising and content in conjunction. And what I've learned is, I think on this channel and a lot of my articles, a lot of my content, vilify the cold outreach stuff, which I always will do. But I also make paid advertising seem like Cinderella thing. It's hard, right? We do it for clients. It's hard. Okay, so I'll be going over the reality of that, the pros and cons, how to make it work to some degree. I have other videos on this channel that you can look at about particularly more tactic stuff like the funnel, like the landing pages you should be using and the email sequences and blah, blah. But I'm going to be going over hierarchy of kind of what it looks like, why I believe it's an A-class type of method to market, and what I'm seeing procedurally, but within the world economic system, I guess you could say, of business, why it's been more difficult as time went on, okay? And so, as I referenced before, I know I have a lot of articles about this, which I'll bring up one now that I wrote, and I'll just jump into a lot of the data around it, a lot of the problems with it, and chat with you guys about kind of why I believe it's not something that you can really rely on. Number 1, first and foremost, we are in a trust recession. So the trust that people have in people, right, whether US or worldwide, has precipitously declined and to the right. Okay, so it's far harder to even trust people. Trust the government, trust the media, trust the internet, trust really anything. I know I don't trust cold emails when they come in, and maybe they've worked on you and maybe they've worked for you in the past, and maybe it still does work, right? It's cool. I understand that. But I can't ignore the fact that 2,000 business owners that I've met with have practically all tried it, and all, as of recently, and recently as in the last 12 months, are experiencing problems with it. And I would say that there's a confluence of this. So in marketing, there's a term called sophistication level. Okay, so how sophisticated your market is with the product, with the offer, with the solution, with their problems, okay? And what I can tell you is it's easy enough now for somebody in their basement to blast out emails to the whole stratosphere. Same way how it's easy enough for people to just hop on LinkedIn and have automation roll and to just collapse your inbox with messages. Now, what that does over time is offers become commoditized, meaning, if I'm in the sea of other people selling demand generation, doing it through LinkedIn, I am one of 30 that have already been in their inbox in the last 12 months. It's hard enough because of the sophistication level, being that your target audience have seen it before, right? If you're cold emailing, it's likely that other people are too. If you're cold messaging on LinkedIn, it's likely that other people are too. And so the sophistication level of the avatar you're trying to reach out to is higher. Therefore, you have to be crazier. You have to be different. You have to say crazier guarantees, crazier offers, yada, yada, yada. But in reality, less and less people are responding because they see Joe Schmo and Mary Sue in their inbox just a week before. I know for me, there's a lot of people that are trying to work with agencies, and I don't even go on LinkedIn anymore or even go into my messaging inbox for that matter, because it's filled. I don't use it as a tool to talk to people anymore because I can't even find it. There's too many outbound messages coming my way. And so I think that trust is declining. I don't think that I actually know that. There's a chart. I could probably pull it up here. My editor, please pull it up here. But there is a chart on this that coincides with that being a truism, okay? It is in fact true that there is less trust in the marketplace for anything and anybody and what have you, okay? But I think that's fueled by the fact that there is low barrier to entry to get into somebody's email inbox, to get somebody's phone number, to what have you. Okay, so that's point number one. Point number two is that it's actually reverse incentivized for Google and Outlook to allow people to cold email. Meaning, right, they want to protect people's safety, privacy, spam filters, phishing, etc. So they have increasingly created structures to prevent cold emailing because it also prevents phishing. You know, I think I would like to assume that the folks that are cold emailing are probably not even reaching the inbox as often as they were before, because across the board, everybody's cold email has declined. So it's not just this industry or this person or what have you, because that could be a measure of maybe, you know, certain things in the email are getting kind of blocked and what have you. But I think just in total, less and less emails are getting into the inbox because of the procedures that Google and Outlook have taken. Okay, and so because of the fact that it's across the board, leads me to believe that it's a across the board type issue. On top of that, LinkedIn also sells ad space in their messaging inbox. Okay, so the question there is like, okay, well, if LinkedIn sells that space, why would they want spammers to do outbound in that space as well? So I think they're cracking down, which is what's funny to realize about that is because LinkedIn was built off of cold outbound. So they've reached a point now where they're kind of on a pinnacle and they say, oh, no, that's not cool anymore because they're selling ad space there. So just understand that those two things are borderline illegal, right? To some degree. I mean, you can argue LinkedIn, they make their own rules, but with Google and Outlook, it's increasingly more difficult because of the legal proceedings that have incurred to people that have been phished or what have you. Okay, so it's a privacy thing as well. And then number three, I think what people don't realize is the increasing adoption of things just generally going to make it harder. So in essence, the adoption of cold email, which used to be easy back in the day, the adoption will make it now harder. I know in order to like the increasing adoption, like more and more people are actually doing it. I know people who do cold email and have it work are people who use Clay and use intent data and cross-reference that and use GPT to make emails and craft different offers, and they're all unique, and so they all go into the inbox and they're all different, they're all very relevant. As we know, any cold email that works really well is you can have the most amount sent and the highest personalization, you will have a great cold email campaign. And so with Clay, you can send a high amount of outbound, but also you can cross-reference and do personalization on top of that, which is pretty cool. But it's very expensive to do that, $7-8 grand to do that. So it kind of starts to the arbitrage. Cold email is starting to kind of come to normalcy, as it is for other things. The trade-off with cold calling is that, maybe there's more spam blockers on your phone, but it's just like people's attention, right? There's so much automation in the world and whatnot. Who really wants to cold call? And so that's the issue, is that it actually still does work. And the barrier to entry, the reason why not many people are adopting it is because it's hard, right? It's difficult. And so I've come to learn this over my tenure in business, is that like nothing worth it is easy. And if it is easy now, like have your prayers, because the arbitrage is going to go away soon. So easier it is now, it's not going to be like that forever. You can't rest on your laurels. So that being said, I like you kind of switch over to the opportunity vehicle. So the opportunity vehicle is paid advertising, okay? Not only is it easy to get set up nowadays, the targeting and the process on the ad platform is all AI based now, and it's really easy. I mean, the best targeting on Meta is just to literally go broad and Advantage Plus and let it rip. So you can use SOAR to make advertisements. In my last video, if you want to check it out, you can have GPT write your copy. Of course, it doesn't mean it's going to be good. You have to prompt it really well, and we have a lot of information on this channel as well that you can check out. But that is the opportunity vehicle that, of course it does take money, but anything worth it takes money. Anything worth it in business takes money. You have to invest into it. So So with advertising is you invest some of your time in the beginning, and you invest money, and then you take some time and it works, right? As you would hope. You have a good offer, you have to have a good model, you have to be able to turn leads into dollars, of course, right? But what has always been very apparent and what has always been very true for me is that it's something that feels a lot less smelly, for lack of a better term, right? It feels a lot less smelly in the case that when you cold call, when you cold email, when you cold DM, it's just stinky, right? It's just like this person doesn't know or doesn't really, like, who really likes to get reached out to, right? With an advertisement, I know me and many of you guys probably also would click on something if it's relevant, if it's free, if it's cool. And so the no-duh thing, the thing that's, I'll preach this from the mountaintops until the day I die, is like the ad that gives away something of value for free will always beat any sort of cold outreach, okay? And I can give you a sort of peek here, which kind of furthers my thought in comparison with cold outreach, is that if I look in the last 30 days here, okay, this ad account, we spent $17,000, give or take, on ads, and 556 leads, 80 booked calls. This campaign in particular got 362 leads. So, I mean, and $152 cost per booked call, 43 booked calls. So, like, I'm thinking back, like, when I used to do the cold email thing, when I used to do the cold outreach thing, man, what a trip, right? You got to start somewhere. I think that's fair to say. But starting there allowed me to feel and understand the huge difference here that is made. Where, like, of course, yeah, you can really, you can blow your load, so to speak. You can blow your credit card on ads, but forces you to make it work, right? When you invest your money, invest your time, forces you to make it work. With cold email, like, you can have a cheap system set up, whatever, and like you just hope that it works, and then just like get rid of it and move on to the next thing, which is like the virtuous marketing cycle. People will try something new, see something new, try it, won't work. A month later, they'll move on, but they didn't invest real money. They didn't invest real time into it. And so when you are spending on your behalf on advertising to make it work, you must make it work or you will die. And I think that is the most important thing to understand about business in general, not just marketing, but in business in general, is that you must set yourself up. Sounds crazy. You must set yourself up in a position where you must deliver for your clients or you will die. You must be able to generate a high amount of inbound traffic or you will die. And I think that makes the huge difference for businesses, especially me, because the fact that we have a guarantee on our program. By the way, if you're interested in working with us and having us run your ads, you can book a call below or grab the free report. You can check out how we work. That free report's pretty good. You can check it out in the description. But having to actually deliver for your clients or you will die, meaning you'll have to give them a refund, and businesses don't survive when they have to do refunds, actually works out pretty well for both parties, because that means the team is tied into it. I'm tied into it. Right? The offer is damn good. You got to do a good job. If you don't do a good job for your clients, then they deserve retribution. And if they don't, then you don't have customers, you have prisoners, right? And so that is my thought on it. When you put money, when you invest actual money, when you put something into something, just by having that sunk cost, you therefore get a better result, right? So that is my thing. I think people searching for cold outreach are just looking for the cheapest method, but you shouldn't be looking for the cheapest method. You should be looking for the most effective, right? Because I can spend $17,000 and turn that into 43 calls, and that makes sense for us. And I'm very happy about that, right? But if I try to always look for the cheapest method to do this, then I would still be stuck. Okay. So understanding that, I have a lot of conversations with clients all the time, with prospects all the time. And this is a truism that I am no longer convincing business owners to invest into their business, do a better opportunity vehicle. It's like, if you're that type of person who makes investments into your business because you know that that's what you believe you need to do in order to grow it, then cool, we can work together. Few and far beyond. Sometimes I have some conversations with folks that don't agree with me, and that's probably why they're going to stay the same. Now, last bit before I wrap up here is I want to talk about some of the pros and cons associated, right? Ads aren't easy. Simple as that. Ads aren't easy. To get to where we are now, we're able to kind of do a 4 or 5x return month over month. It's pretty awesome. The work we do for our folks that we work with are pretty awesome. The pros and cons is that you have to be patient. You have to see it through. This is not going to be you start it in 30 days and it works kind of thing. You have to see it through. You have to spend money. You have to bleed a little bit. You have to cry a little bit. And you have to see it through. However, okay, the pro is that you own the traffic that comes in that becomes leads. You own. Email marketing is the highest ROI. So when you get somebody to download something for free, that name, number, email may not mean much to you in the beginning, but I'm telling you, it is what you need. It is what you're looking for. When you run an ad, you're not looking necessarily for sales on the get-go. You're looking for qualified leads to get to know you, to build your brand, and that long-term outlook on, I have people on my email list that want to hear from me every day, that raise their hand and say they have this problem, and I possibly can, I can help them solve it, or the free thing I give away help them solve it, and if it didn't, I should make it better, right? That is incredible, because no matter what you do, no matter where you go, your Rolodex is critical, and that email list will never die unless they unsubscribe, right? So that is the pro, is that you have that ownership of that, not a fly-by-night type of thing. The sales calls are far better, far more fun. These people know you, like you, and trust you to some degree. But like I said, it does cost money. But the other pro is you actually are doing something that is like moral, which is advertising. You can argue if it's moral or not, right? I guess you could say. Some may say it's not. Okay, but I would say it's more moral than cold calling. It's more moral than cold outreach, right? Somebody voluntarily, willfully clicked on the advertisement. And from there, as the executive on the team or somebody on the team having the conversation with that prospect, what you get as a consequence is you get authority, okay? You don't want to be condescending, but you get leverage in the sense that, hey, you clicked on our ads. What's going on? How can we help? And it's a far better conversation, where most of the time when you do a cold outreach and you get somebody from cold email, they come to the call and they say, what can you do for me? Blah, 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 blah. And they cross their arms like that. For the most part, there's some folks that are, nice people. I think people are generally nice. But on the ad side, it's very apparent, very clear that you have the leverage. Of course, you got your boneheads everywhere, but you have very clear leverage. And so I would say that if you have $2,000 to $3,000 in discretionary income, you should be spending $70 to $100 a day on advertising. See it through, let it ride. Check out some of the other videos on the channel to see about how to build the funnel. We have an AI SMS bot that works very, very well. There's another video on the channel that shows you that. There's another video I just released, I think last week or earlier this week, on how to create creatives with Sora very fast, very quick, very efficient. So those are all the ways that we can help you. But in terms of free stuff, more stuff down below in the description that I can help you with. If you're looking for done-for-you help, if you're looking for do-it-yourself help, I have a training program you can go through. It's only $27. But beyond that, this was just me venting a little bit because I've written extensively about it. I'll put it in the description as well. You can read some of the blogs. But that's state of the affairs for cold outreach. That's why I believe in paid advertising. We'll continue to spend money on ads, and you'll continue to see me on YouTube's. So I'll catch you next time. Thanks for watching.